Onwurah.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And let me begin by welcoming the Secretary of State to her place and thanking her for the advance notice of her statement. And I welcome this framework, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It will take pride of place on my virtual bookshelf next to the government's innovation strategy, the R&D roadmap, the science plan, numerous grand challenges, industrial strategies, sector deals, 2 UKRI reorganisations. We have seen 9 changes of science minister in 5 years. Britain is a world-leading science nation, and we deserve a framework with a longer shelf life than a lettuce, especially given the shortage of salad items under this government. But it is good to see the government setting out principles for identifying the scientific capabilities we need to protect and grow, and the outcomes we wish to see from science, as well as seeking to increase STEM skills in teaching and support for startups and spin-outs. On the eve of International Women's Day, and as a chartered engineer myself, let me enthusiastically welcome the ambition to diversify the science and technology workforce. Let us work together to make that ambition a reality. I do have a number of questions for the Secretary of State. So how do the 5 critical technologies in the framework relate to the 17 sensitive areas in the National Security and Investment Bill and the 5 key growth areas in the Autumn Statement? And when will each critical technology have the appropriate regulatory framework she talks about? Science-driven industries critical to our future prosperity, such as space, autonomous vehicles, batteries and steel, are not even mentioned. Labour has committed to an Industrial Strategy Council on a statutory footing. Does the government have an industrial strategy? Now, the framework rightly says that procurement is key to innovation. Why then has the government objected to our amendments to the procurement bill to ensure procurement is not captured by cronyism? The government committed to 22 billion of science funding by 2027. Will she say now what is the current funding commitment? How much of the 370 million mentioned in the framework is truly new? And if so, how is she paying for it? The government promised that science spend will double, but the framework talks of raising science spend outside the Greater South East by only 40%. This suggests our regional centres of innovation will not benefit from this increased funding. And is that all she has to say about the importance of regional innovation? What are the clusters which the Science Minister talks up so much? Now, startups and scale-ups are the key to sustainable green growth, but the 10 million uplift to the seed fund mentioned here would not meet the early stage funding requirements of one future Google. So will the government adopt the recommendations of Labour's startup and scale-up review to drive innovative growth across our country? But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the biggest question is what is not in this framework. Horizon Europe, the world's biggest science programme. Did she really think she could get to a statement without even mentioning it? Thanks to the Tories, our brightest and best UK scientists are still having to choose between the funding they desperately need and the country they love. British research, British business is feeling the chilling impact of not being part of the world's greatest scientific collaboration. Can the Secretary of State confirm now that now the Windsor framework has been agreed, Horizon Association will follow? And specifically, will the Chancellor's budget next week include association funding? Mr. Deputy Speaker, Labour believe innovation and science are critical to building national and regional economies which are strong and self-sufficient. We see a clear path from investing in scientific research to the jobs you can raise a family on. With our ambitious national missions, Labour would stoke the innovation engine to drive high-skilled growth, access new and diverse talent pools, and catalyse regions which have been left out of science investment. I fear this framework is another wish list, designed to be shelved or scrapped at the earliest convenience by a government addicted to sticking plaster policies. Only a Labour government with our long-term industrial strategy will deliver the science sector and the jobs our country needs.
State.